These are the notes of Jimmy Riley, serving as a report of the curious events that happened on the 12th of February 1846 in the White Horse Inn on the road to the New Forest.
The Road to the New Forest. An audio drama by Emmy Nellison and Mimi Magusin.
Come on, fellas. Raise your hand. Who has ever heard of it? Yes. Come on. Who here has ever seen it gliding through the forest?
Well, as a matter of fact, I have.
And who are you supposed to be?
My name is Wilfred, sir, but you can call me Will if you'd like.
Okay, very well, Wilfred. You say that you've seen this black deer with your very own eyes?
The black deer is indeed very familiar to me. In fact, if you want to know, the deer has a strong connection to my family.
But have you seen
And there are many stories that are passed down from father to son.
Please, Wilfred, answer the question. Have you seen the deer or not?
Well, actually, it was my grandmother who saw it.
That explains it.
But she was an honest woman, and very wise too, even though she had the habit of talking to trees. She told me interesting stories about the deer. I can tell it to you if you'd like.
I don't think anyone is interested.
But I'm sure you will like it. All of you. It's a love story.
Can someone please make the lad shut up?
Oh, let him tell the story. All we ever hear is tales of dragons and warriors, and it's been years since I heard a decent love story.
It's even based on true events.
You know, it's also based on true events.
Well, Wilfred, you've heard the lady. Let us hear your story. You've made us curious.
Once upon a time, not so very far away, there lived a man in a little hut in the woods.
About which time exactly are we speaking?
Yes, I was wondering too.
Why? Does it matter? It is a story.
But you just claimed it was based on true events.
Oh, well, it was when my grandmother was young.
Oh, and how old is your grandmother then? Or did she pass away, which would be a tragic loss?
No, she didn't pass. Anyway, once upon a time, long ago, blah blah blah, there lived a man in a little hut in the woods.
Hey, aren't you Castleman's daughter?
What?
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry.
Who's Castleman?
Your father's employer. The owner of the railway they're building in the
Well,
forest.
is there any news? Do you know what your father is up to once he's finished the job?
Oh, well, I'm not exactly the person you should ask. Sir Castleman does not discuss business with his daughters. But I know they are thinking about removing the deer. They're overcrowding the forest.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
The commoners will not like that.
They will be compensated for it, no doubt.
Hey! The last time I checked, in our country, storytellers were held in the highest of honors, regardless of their talent.
Excuse me.
Therefore, I suggest you postpone your inquiries to a later moment. Now, let us listen to Wilfred.
Yes, I want to hear the story.
All right then, but no more interruptions, please.
Have it your way.
Good then. Yes. Gather round, please. Everyone may listen. Once upon a time, not so very far from here, there lived a man in a little hut in the woods. He lived alone and had no friends, but he was a great craftsman. In solitude, he carved wooden statues and made the most beautiful furniture the world had ever seen. Every year, he went to the village to sell his work. But one year, something magical happened.
Who's that girl? The one that just passed by? That's Nora, the clergyman's daughter. Oh, try hiding the look in your eyes now, lad. Or at least start working on your resume. Her father is not a fool, you know. How much do you want for this table? £10?
I need to meet her. Where does she live?
In the Abbey, of course. Her father is not the nicest fellow, to be honest, though. Never pays me quite enough for the veal I sell him. Hey! Where are you going? I will give you 15. 15 for this table.
But the carpenter didn't listen any longer. He grabbed one of his statues, concealed it with a cover, and sprinted towards the abbey. In the chapel, he found the clergyman.
Dear sir, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I came looking for your...
Am I supposed to know you?
Not really. I'm just a carpenter. I mean, I'm just the best wood carver in town. I don't come here often. I live in the New Forest.
All right. And are you here to confess?
No. Wait, yes. I'm here to confess that I'm in love with your daughter.
Oh dear.
As you can imagine, the clergyman was not pleased.
Look, son, you're not the only one who has asked me for her hand. And believe me, I have rejected men much better than you.
Very well, but did those men also bring this?
The carpenter revealed from under its cover a statue of the Holy Virgin, and she was more beautiful than even the heavens above. But the clergyman was not convinced.
My dear fella, you are a skilled craftsman, there's no doubt about that. But I cannot give you my daughter. She's worth more than 1,000 of your statues together, and you seem to have nothing else to offer. Where is your horse? Where is your carriage? Should she walk all the way to your little hut in the forest?
I can offer her my love.
Oh, save me from this folly. Come back when you have something fit for a princess and not for a farmer's maid.
And without another word, the clergyman took his leave and left the poor man alone. But the carpenter did not give up. He returned home, and for a whole year he worked on a present that would convince the clergyman of its worth. And when the day came for his return to the village, he entered the market with such a splendid gift that everyone gathered around him and gasped in awe.
See here a token of my love for Nora. For only the finest carriage in the world would be fit for the finest maiden on earth.
And yes, the carriage was beautiful, with golden angels resting on the window panes and wooden flowers blooming between the rims of the wheels. But again, the clergyman was not convinced.
Your carriage is fine, finer than I've ever seen, my son. Fit for a princess, there's no doubt about that. But still, I cannot give you my daughter. The highest lords of the country have begged me for her hand, and she's worth 100 of these carriages. And tell me, could you even give her a decent place to sleep? She's not meant to live in a hut in the woods. Please, take yourself and your carriage off, and if you return, let it be with nothing less than the keys to a palace.
And with that, the clergyman left the place, and Nora walked closely behind him.
Did she have no say in this?
Who do you mean?
The girl, of course. Nora was her name, right?
Yes, she was called Nora, and she was not cold-hearted. The carpenter had quite touched her with his gifts. So, late that night, when the carpenter had gathered his goods and was just about ready to return home, she looked at him from under the branches of an ancient willow tree. But when the carpenter glanced her way, she disappeared.
Oh, willow tree, what am I to do? Why does he keep
talking to trees?
Maybe she was a sorceress.
Or a complete halfwit.
No, she wasn't. Nora, even though being a decent Christian girl, had a close connection to nature. And she wasn't exactly talking to the tree, more like asking advice.
And what happened next?
After that, the carpenter returned home, and even though the clergyman had given him no reason to hope, he had not given up at all. He was determined to build Nora a wooden castle, bigger and more beautiful than the world had ever seen. In a frenzy, he began cutting the trees around his house. And he took down so many that he left a scar in the forest. But blinded by his love, he didn't see the forest grow darker, and his ears became deaf, so that he didn't hear the trees cry out.
Trees cry out? Were they angry?
And in the end, he revealed his work to the villagers, who had all come to the forest to see the wonder. And Nora, the clergyman's daughter, was also there. Her cheeks blossomed, and she dared not look the carpenter in the eye. But the clergyman stepped forward and spoke aloud.
Well, I am impressed, my boy. Your castle is grand and fit for the wealthiest in the world. And even though my daughter is very dear to me, what you offer cannot be unworthy of her.
Father?
Therefore, I have decided that you must be the one to marry her. At least, if Nora agrees with it too. Nora?
She did not stay to give her answer. Before anyone could stop her, she ran off into the forest. Quickly, the carpenter followed her.
Nora!
She sat on a tree trunk, looking down to the orchids at her feet.
Nora?
I'm sorry, I just don't understand. Why did you build all these things for me?
Because I love you.
But you don't know me. How can you say such a thing?
I just do. I know it for sure.
That's
Don't
ridiculous.
you have that sometimes? That you know things for sure? I mean, just look at you.
The carpenter reached to touch Nora's red cheeks, but she turned her head away.
Don't. If you only want me for my beauty, then you have to go.
Well, if you only want me for the stuff I give you, we'll be square.
Don't make fun of it.
You don't like fun? Let me note that down.
This place is beautiful, by the way.
It is. But wait, I can show you something even more beautiful.
And the timberman took Nora's hand and led her back to the palace, where he pointed to the door. It was made of wood, of course, and Nora couldn't see what was so special about it.
Look closer.
And then Nora saw something she'd never seen before, for the nerves of the wood together painted an image of her own face. It was as if she looked into a wooden mirror, only she looked even more beautiful than she remembered.
Please, marry me. Or stay with me, at least. I won't keep you prisoner if you don't want to. You can come and go as you wish.
Well, as a good Christian girl, Nora would do well to...
Father! I know my duties. And to answer your question, I've decided I will marry you.
Really?
Yeah, I will marry you. Don't look so surprised. After all you've done for me, how could I refuse?
And so Nora came to be the carpenter's wife after all.
Well, that was easy. God knows it took me a lot longer to get you, Mares.
Yes, those days were different. One had to express love through deeds rather than empty words. But they did not live in peace for long. For that very night, just when they were finally left alone in the wooden castle, Nora was startled by strange sounds in the forest around them.
What's that?
What, the last?
Cries and that music.
Your hair smells like honey.
I'm serious. Listen.
It will fade away. It always does.
But that night, the noise did not diminish. It became louder and louder. Nora couldn't sleep.
I think it's coming closer. Robert? I can hear it coming closer.
Go to sleep.
Robert, wake up!
Oh, hush!
Listen now, there's something at the door! Ah!
There, on the threshold, stood a monstrous black deer with blazing eyes. Its voice tore the bedsheets and ripped the cushions apart. Fire and ash, it said.
Axe and saw.
And the clergyman's daughter cried, for she did not know what the monster was. But the carpenter understood. It had come for him, to avenge the harm he had done to the forest.
No! Go away!
You did not keep your word.
I did nothing! Stay away! Don't take me, no! Not now I finally have her!
And there, in the bedroom of the castle he had made for his love, the poor carpenter was pulled from his bed. Nora tried to hold on to him, but in vain, and in front of his wife's very eyes he was silenced forever by the vile beast. It took his life, wordlessly and noiselessly. Afterwards, the deer left with a whisper. and left the timberman frozen on the ground.
You listen to The Road to the New Forest. The text was written by Emmy Nellison. The music composed by Mimi Magusin. Editors Emmy Nellison and Mimi Magusin. Director of Sounds Anna de Bruin. Also many thanks to our great voice actors. Fenne van Engelen, Bramma van Overdijk, Bara Vissela, James Toos, Nicholas Rogers, Julia Andriessen, Yuri Ferry, Isabelle van Oudheusden, Korstiaan van Pelt, Kira Tehero, Antonia Bauer en Sebastian Meijers. But also our musicians. Joost Verheggen, Maartje Stro, Remo Kortbeek, Laurens de Mooi, Anastasia Tropina, Emma Tondeur, Julianne van Meerten, Roos Middelkoop, Yuri Ferry, Robin Becker, Jacob Hepkema, Alice de Vranenberg en Peter Reddinghuis.